This is Tony Poulos, and I'm here in Singapore talking to Mr. David Storrie, who is the CEO of Nucleus Connect, the active part of Singapore's national broadband network. Dave, welcome. Great to see you again. Firstly, I'd really like to know what's going on. I need a progress report on how things have been going since the commercial launch in August.
It's been very, very surprising, Tony, to be honest. We were a little bit late launching than we thought, but based on our contract with the government, we were on time. But we had hoped to maybe have 2 quarters under our belt last year. As it was, we had 1 quarter left, and we thought we'd maybe only get about 1,500 connections across the service provider layer. It's been surprising. On December 31st, when we looked at it, we topped over the 5,000 mark. So it was 5,004 connections we had at the end of the year, which is well above our estimations for 1 quarter. I think the service providers have been very aggressive in Singapore. They've really embraced the network, considering it's still only about 60% rolled out from a fibre point of view.
What sort of service providers have joined up? How many? And what services are being offered already in Singapore?
Well, we've got the basic incumbent ones. We've got Singtel, StarHub, Mobile One, Super Internet are in there. We've also got Verizon have signed up. In total, we've got about seven coming up for 8, and there's about another 3 talking to us at the moment to sign on our interconnect offers. So I think by summer this year, we'll probably be in double figures. Service-wise, not much has changed, to be honest, but what surprised us on day one after we launched on September 1st, we had quite aggressive. Singtel M1 came out with 150 megabit services, closely followed by StarHub after that. And considering when you looked at the market 12 months ago and there was a 100 megabit service from StarHub, which really was in quite low take-up, to come out on day one after it on fibre services looking at 150 at a price range that was equivalent to their legacy services at 10 megabit, it's changed the market completely. And to be honest, I don't think the end users or the businesses in Singapore are really quite aware yet of how to deal with these type of new offers.
Have you had any specialist service providers coming on board offering only one stream of service, like movies, etc., or are we going to see that shortly?
We're going to see that shortly. We haven't really seen that yet, although everybody we talk to wants to deliver video. Everything that they're buying from us has the capability of being able to deliver video. We've had some basic best efforts 100 megabit services being sold for a certain service provider. That's what they're selling to the customer, basically. Quite happy with the base service. But I think what we're going to see over the longer term, over the next 18 months or so, is a big push on video. Whether it be TV, I think there's going to be more IPTV services on the way, interactive services to the customer, etc. We saw a sign in the Financial Times the other day about not going to the doctor to get diagnosed. You talk about over that. It could become a reality here in very quick space of time.
So you're up and running. What are the challenges still to be surmounted, and what do you see as the big issues for you in the next year?
Oh, we've still got some challenges. We're up and running, but it wasn't quite as good an opening as I would have liked. We had quite a lot of teething problems, which we take our fair share of the blame, and making appointments, our engineer not turning up on time, disappointing the customer, having to do a second return, which is cost to us as well.
Yes.
So that's improving. It's improving on a weekly basis. It still hasn't gone away completely. We've certainly smoothed it since the day one of operation. We're learning a lot. We're changing processes as we need to change them to make sure that we're delivering what the service provider wants and ultimately the end user. It's interesting, being as long in this industry as I've been, that you never had blogs before, to get real feedback from the end user. I spend a lot of time looking through blogs now to try and see how we're doing, and not relying just on the service provider giving us feedback, but actually looking at the end user. And really, what's surprised me is, there's been a lot of complaints about us coming up at the wrong time or the service provider not arriving and the service not being. But when you actually get to the ones who have got the service and been utilising the service, what they're saying about it is excellent feedback, because it's performing to the level that we set out the network to do so. So that's been very pleasing, and as far as I'm concerned, we have to continue to do that. The other thing is certainly our support systems. need to be put in place a little bit stronger. There's still a little bit too much manual intervention just now. We want to automate that much more over this next 12 months. We have a government audit to go through, an end-to-end audit in November this year. So we have a target base as to when we have to have everything basically automated.
The last question, how are you coping with the spotlight from international interests that are all watching what we're doing in Singapore? Is it taking up a lot of your time?
It is taking up a lot of time. My shoulders are getting heavier and heavier all the time with having to do visits to different places and people coming to visit us to see what we're doing. It's been good though as well, because getting some of their input as to how our model would possibly or possibly not work in their markets, it's given us a view that, hey, you know, we've got ourselves right here. Yeah. You know, what we're doing is the right thing for Singapore. And we believe that the model will work in certain countries, but it won't work in all countries. Same with the funding, you know, the government intervention I think is going to be needed in most markets, yes. But will they fund it, or will they look for private funding a little bit like what you've got in New Zealand? I think it's going to be more down that line, a bit of mix of both.
Dave Storrie from Nucleus Connect, thanks so much for spending time with us today. Thank you.